And with that, hello and welcome game dev fans. This week I decided to take part in 2 game jams. You heard me right, 2 game jams at once. Namely, the 7 Days FPS game jam and the Procjam. They both had a collab where they were held at the same time over at itch.io. So I couldn't resist to try to participate in both at once. The rules were simple. From the 4th of December to the 14th you have to make a game. For the 7 Days FPS game jam was the requirement to do a first person game. And for the Procjam you have to make something that makes something. And with that I mean procedurally generated. You already saw in the intro bit what I did. I made an action-packed survival bullet hell first person shooter named Through Blood and Flesh. In Through Blood and Flesh you are trapped with an ever-growing mass and you have to fight it back with your randomly generated arsenal of guns. In fact, a lot is randomly generated in this game. For example, the world is generated in a 5x5 grid, with the script randomly choosing tiles from a selection of 15. This is done by choosing one and placing it on the correct place in the grid and then rotating it randomly. At the start I planned to have 63 tiles, but ended with only 15 because I thought it was enough and wouldn't bring much more variance to the game. The world generator also picks the location of the spawn points of the growing biomass. The growth is the enemy of the game. It constantly grows and gets bigger and spawns enemy that try to kill you. When you touch it, you take damage, so it's recommended to try to kill it. There are 3 enemy types that can be spawned by the mass. One that follows the player, so he takes damage when it reaches him, one that shoots projectiles towards him, and one that slowly moves towards a free space and after a short delay it spawns a new growth. So if you don't handle these enemies, things start to get tough really fast. And you do that with your guns. Like I mentioned, these are randomly generated too. The generation has 2 parts, the generation of the stats of the gun and the generation of the gun model. First, let's talk about the random generation of the gun model. The gun is made of different types of parts. Things that are always there are the main part with the trigger, the part with the muzzle and the sight. Optional parts are the middle part, a stock, a barrel and an attachment for the gun, like a grip, magazine or an underbarrel blade. Each part is randomly picked from a list of 6 to 8 items. Then after that a color for the material of the gun is chosen. The second part of the generation is the stats of the gun. Here the gun has damage, fire rate, reload time, clip size, melee damage, accuracy, crit chance and crit damage. To determine that, in the first place a power level will be chosen. Then the power level will be split equally with a margin of randomness across the stats. After that a rarity is picked and it will decide how much perks a gun has. The higher the rarity, the more perks the gun has. A perk gives bonus stats and will be used to generate the gun's name, with prefixes and affixes. There are legendary perks that have special effects, like the perk Shapeshifting, that rerolls the gun's perks when reloading, or the perk Berserker, that prevents shooting but massively empowers your melee attack. If you run out of ammo or you want a new gun, you can buy one at the shop, with the money gained by killing enemies and parts of the biomass. And with that money you can heal yourself at the healing station too. You can upgrade your tier to have a chance on higher power levels of your guns too. The tier also determines the passive score gain. Your goal in the game is to survive as long as possible, collect as many scores as possible until you die. Another factor that gets you more score is the difficulty of the game. There's easy, middle and hard. Difficulty changes with how many biomasses you start the game. If you want to try the game out by yourself, head over to the game's page. A link is in the description. You can play it in the browser, so no download required. I hope you enjoyed the video and the game. If you did, consider liking the video or subscribing, because it really helps the channel. See you in the next video, goodbye and keep exploring.